365 Days of Horsemanship, day 176. So yesterday was a good day. I was quite tired. I came after shift. I'm pretty tired today as well. I definitely am like struggling a bit today to make my videos. I'm like, I've had a really long week. I've worked a lot and I have some things to do today as well. I also want to catch a nap and just try to recharge and rest. Yesterday I came after work and it was quite a slow start to the session. I kind of like mooched around, went to Lawrence first. And yesterday I think the really key thing that I remember is yesterday was the first time that I put my hand on his chest and I got a focus change to a lick and a chew. He looked up, he licked and chewed, learning focus, and didn't move. And it was really cool. I definitely think that the consistency is just so powerful. I'm really getting into a place where I just want more time and more time and more time with the horses. Like, I really feel like I'm finally coming into myself in terms of knowing I'm feeling that real motivation and desire. And that's really cool. Consistency, I think, is really just so powerful, and things just don't take as long as you think they're gonna take. Like this idea, and I think we all have it like about the gym, or I certainly have it about the gym, and I think I'm thinking of the phrase like making a mountain out of a molehill. And I think we feel like when we don't have something right now, like this moment that we're in right now is like permanent, and like because we don't have it right now, like any amount of time we'll have to wait to get it is like too long. But actually, you know, it's really only been a couple of weeks. And when I look back and I think about how involved emotionally and how invested emotionally I am in every session that I have, and how every session for me is like the culmination of everything that's been before, and, you know, the precursor to everything that's going to come. And so, you know, it's all very serious, and I feel very like, I'm not pressured, but like heavy, you know, like every session has this like heaviness about it, where I want this session to be the one where the big change happens, or where I feel the progress. But actually now I look back over 2 weeks, you know, a lot of change has happened. I've learned a lot, and I think, you know, I definitely often will have this like feeling that, you know, when I learn something, I'm like, oh, this is it, this is the thing, this will change everything, and everything after this will be easy. And of course that's not true, you know, like when I think about how many things I've learned, I think, you know, this pride that I have in my achievements is great, but I think it's also about realism and about understanding, you know, that every day, week, month, constantly, the whole journey, I'm learning things. You know, there's going to be constant moments where I go, oh my God, now I know. And I think it's like, I was watching this really interesting video yesterday or the day before. There's a guru at the moment who's quite popular on social media. It's called Sadhguru, and it's Sadhguru. And he has some really interesting perspectives on life, does a lot of like public speaking, and he'd said something about coming to conclusions, and about how when you come to a conclusion, you sort of force the death of something rather than imbibing something with life. And I think that's maybe something that I can see or resonate with in my sort of learning journey with horses, is this feeling of like, you know, if there's just enough stuff that I can get, or that I can, understand, then it'll be fixed, then I'll be good, then I'll be a great horseman, then I'll be, then everything will be easy then. And that's actually really not, how it works. It was a good session with Lawrence yesterday. It was the same as every other session. And I think that's why I've kind of struggled to talk about it a little bit. I think it's why I struggled to talk about it yesterday as well, after I actually had the session. Partly I was quite tired, and partly I was like, it was so great, but like, what do I say? It was just great. It was just great. It was just the same as it's been, doing the same things. And it was great. I think I would really like to film more of my sessions. It's just so difficult because we move so far during the session, and my amazing new camera tripod is great, but I think it's really designed for horses in arenas. I've got this new Pivo, which is like the robot cameraman tracker that everyone raves about, and I think it's great. Like, if I was riding in the arena or I was playing in the arena, it would be perfect. But because I'm out in the field, I'm moving so far with both of them really, that it's difficult to have the camera there without having it be a distraction. And I just am enjoying the session so much. I don't want the distraction yet, But I think I'm probably going through a period of growth at the moment, rather than a period of plateau, which is great, which is really nice. Like, I'm grateful to be here. Definitely, those of you who watch my videos regularly, which is amazing, thanks so much for that. I really appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. Those of you who do will hopefully be noticing, as I am, the cycle of learning and stress that we go through, or that I go through, where there's this period of growth, and then there's this kind of like plateauing period, and then emotionally there's this period where things start to get worse again, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what's happening. That kind of plateaus itself, and then we go back up again. I have a period of growth, and I think potentially that the camera is something maybe that is good to come out during those more negative times, or those times where I feel like things are getting worse, because not only will it give me an opportunity to have something to distract and to help in sort of influence curiosity in the horses, but also I think it's something that will help me to feel more energized, like I'm not getting bored, or like there's something new going on, or like a new challenge, and it'll also give me the opportunity to actually see the sessions and potentially see from the outside, and that might help me with my feel and timing. But it was a good session. I had a good session with Mia as well. Session with Mia yesterday was actually really interesting. Don't know why I've waffled on so long about philosophy when actually I could have just talked about the session with Mia. The session with Mia yesterday, I came up, it was still sunlight, it was still daylight, so I wanted to do some physical fitness with her, because any day that I have the light, I really want to do that, because I'm kind of thinking about how many days I'm going to have where there's not going to be light, because I'm going to have been working. And so those days are days where I really want to prioritize the freedom-based training, helping her feel better about things, building curiosity, really trying to learn about her, slot into where she's at. And then the days when I have the sunlight is the days where I want to do my little sandwich, and do some fitness during my session. So I came yesterday, approached as I usually would, from a distance, stopping and going into flow when we have those focus changes, approaching with some feel where, I'm stopping and being in supportive leadership as kind of guided by her. And yesterday the hay went out for them, and so I had this in the back of my head that it might be a difficult day for her, which it was. It was definitely a very difficult question to ask her to put the halter on when she's just had new hay out, because she really does not want to leave that new hay. And I really appreciated, I played for literally about 10 minutes just with driving her with the end of the line to a focus change. And then she would change her focus, she would look around, she'd feel better, then she'd go back to the hay. And as soon as she went back to the hay, I was back on the pressure. I put a fair amount of pressure on her, not a lot, just enough to be effective. And I played with that for about 10 minutes before I finally was able to have her kind of a bit more like frozen in self-focus, but not on the hay. And then I put the halter over her head or over her neck. And I just waited. And she turned her head to me really nicely with that curiosity. I let the halter go and I walked away. Because for me at that point, I was like, that was a really difficult session for you. And I really want you to feel like that the conclusion of all of that pressure is that you felt curious. I don't want to then get into some situation where you've yielded, you've been dominated into being haltered, and then we've got to do all this stuff. Like, it's not about the halter, it's not about getting the halter on you, it's about how you feel about it. And actually it took us 10 minutes of this game to get her to a place where she felt better. And so I was more than happy to leave there, because actually the harder something is, the more I want to encourage that better feeling and not to put that pressure on. So I felt really good about that. What was really nice to me during the session was how easy it was to be totally patient and relaxed about how long it was taking. I wasn't bothered. It's not about the haltering. There was no point where I even felt slightly frustrated that we weren't going to put the halter on and do something. Because for me, like, when I'm doing the session, I have this idea of how it's going to be. And then once I get into it, I just want to play with the horse that turns up. Like, if this is the issue for today, let's play with that issue. Like, I'm happy playing with that issue. That is perfect. And then when I see that moment, I'm like, oh yeah, we've solved that problem. That was a really big problem at the beginning of the session. She was not feeling curious. Now she feels curious. That's so great. I'm happy to leave it there. Ultimately, what's happened then, and what actually came through today, was that I associated the pressure of that halter with her finally feeling better, feeling less stressed about the hay, so much so that she felt she could be curious about the halter. At that point, I'm like, that is awesome. Yeah, see you later. So it was a good session. It was a really good session. I was really happy with it.